Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody? I hope you all are doing well. My name is Ebony, and I am going under the pen of the Real Talk Therapist on this YouTube channel. And so I want to first and foremost thank you all for coming in and watching my very first video. With each video, you will see me in a custom made t-shirt that I make, and you will have the ability to comment or send your information in the link if you would like to order one. But the one I have on today says they can't compete where they don't compare. And then there's no comment. There's nothing left to say after that. My very first Real Talk Therapy session or intervention or whatever you want to call it, I like to call it a conversation, but you gotta start somewhere. And so whenever I was trying to come up with the idea of how I wanted to do therapy and how I wanted to provide treatment and mental health in our African American communities especially, but just to deliver mental health, period, it's how we can have a conversation about how important it is. It's no different than your physical health appointments. So if you have some stuff going on and you're seeing a doctor for whatever reason, if you have hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, what have you, you make it a point to keep those appointments. So when you keep those appointments, whatever the doctor recommends, you make sure you follow it so that you don't get sick or your condition doesn't get worse than what it is. Mental health is the same thing for our mental, for our emotions. And a lot of times we're not taught how important mental health is to us. And so keeping on the topic of you gotta start somewhere, I would sit around and I kept asking myself, in order to reach my goals, what is it that I have to do? Because at one point in life, I had a plan. I used to write things out and I used to check it off and I used to follow through it. And then things started happening, life started life and different things started going on in my life. And I got off my pattern of how I would do things. I got off my routine. And when I got off my routine, it seemed like everything that I had going on started veering to the left. And so one of the things about knowing what you want your goals to be is to sit down with yourself and write out what it is that you feel like you want to do. And a goal can be something as simple as getting up every day, getting dressed, going outside my house so that I don't sit inside these same four walls and deal with whatever depressive thoughts I might be having, whatever racing thoughts I might be having, or whatever difficulties and challenges I might be dealing with. When you sit in those closed spaces, those things begin to close you in. Fresh air is always good for the soul. And so in beginning this, I thought about where I would go, what I would do. And just yesterday, I found this little local park in the area where I'm from. We're doing this time of the day, nobody is here. Some people are inside, there's different things that they have, but nobody's sitting outside. And so this was the perfect space for me to begin. And when I had this thought or this vision to start doing interventions and sessions virtually and to create a YouTube channel, I talked myself out of it 11 times because I kept saying, oh, I want to do a podcast. Oh, I need to go and find out what a podcast is. Okay, no, I don't necessarily need to do a podcast. I can just make my videos and upload them. Oh, is anybody gonna listen? Oh, is anybody gonna come on here and have negative stuff to say? Oh, what's gonna happen when this happens, this. All of those things ended up costing me some valuable time in getting this started. And so I decided today to just go for it. You gotta start somewhere. And whether one person views it or a million people view it, whoever gets what they need out of it, then it served its purpose. All of us have unique gifts that are specifically your gifts. And the only way that you know what your gifts are is for you to tap into yourself. And I know that that sounds generic, and there comes a time where how do I tap into myself? And that's a little different for all of us. But in order to know who you are, you've got to spend some time with yourself. You can't allow yourself to be pulled here and there. You can't allow people to dictate and dominate what your time would be when you're spending it by yourself. You just have to be able to start it and develop whatever it's going to look like for you from day to day. And I used to feel like in order for me to have some kind of peace in my life, everything and everybody that I encountered, I wanted them to be okay. So if I could figure out a way for them to be okay, no matter how much it drained me, I'll be cool. Not. You cannot keep pouring into people and not figure out how to replenish what you're giving away. You have to learn how to protect some of your own energy. If you work a job, you need to be sure to take your breaks. If you have children, you need to be sure to find some respite to where you have 30 minutes, 20 minutes, put the kids to bed, take some time to unwind, to debrief, just for you for that day. I don't know what it's going to look like for you, and you're not going to know what it looks like for you until you get it done. But in the nature of the course of everything that I've done, I'm going to just say over the past 20 years, I would always look for guidance from this person, that person. How should I do this? What's the best way to do that? And I'm taking all this feedback from people, and then I'm not getting anything accomplished because instead of me developing my own way of doing it, I'm trying to do what others were telling me, not realizing that I was depleting all of my energy when it came to doing stuff. And I never considered I'm asking for advice and seeking advice from people who aren't doing what I'm asking them about. Makes no sense. But one of the biggest things for you to do is to stay away from the, if I were you, I would do this. Because they're not you. And if they truly knew what to do, what you were assigned to do, then they'd be doing it. And it's just that simple. We can all give advice and tell people how they should handle things. But what happens when it's you that needs to learn how to handle your own handles? What advice are you giving yourself? It's easy to judge someone else's situation, and it's easy to put 2 cents in where it's not needed and or wanted. So our own 2 cents needs to go in our own savings bank so that when it's time to replenish what we've given out, you got enough in your reserve. If you don't develop anything for self-preservation, you're gonna perish. And all of those goals that you set for yourself will truly become unreachable because you didn't take anything for yourself. When the idea to start a YouTube channel first came to me, like I said, I asked all these other people. I worried about how it would sound. I worried about if people would even watch. I had all kinds of thoughts, like I said, that kept me from doing it. But my passion has always been to help people. Even if I'm not able to help myself. Both my maternal and my paternal grandmothers always tell me that I'm a missionary. And when I think about a missionary in the sense of spirituality and Christianity and God's word, I definitely don't think that I'm a missionary. But when I find myself getting in positions to help people, I'm going to go to whatever lengths it is to go to make sure the individual has what they need and that they're okay at the end of that. I've managed to survive some pretty tough situations, but that's all I did was survive. I didn't thrive from them. So, we can be alive and not living. And I want to be able to get into a space where moving forward, I'm not just alive, but I'm living life, and I'm living it according to my terms. I'm not giving all the time. And when it's time for me to take some back and there's nothing for me to take, I need to start reevaluating those things. And I need to start looking at those one-sided friendships to where I'm always the one checking in, but not being the one checked on. or I'm on these jobs and I'm always the one giving 110%, and there's always people that are doing 60, 70%, but they expect 100% of their pay. One thing about me and my personality, so I am a Cancer. I do believe in astrology. I do believe that it's in line with those things. I do read my horoscope. I'm learning some other things in lieu of that. But one thing about being a Cancer, you're either going to be emotionally out there, and there'll be some sessions where I may be on here and be emotionally out there, because in following my truth, if I'm sad, I'm learning how to be sad. I used to feel like, oh, I can't be sad because I gotta be strong for everybody else. Well, then who's being strong for me? Nobody. And so you gotta have some self-preservation. You gotta look out for yourself, and that's not called being selfish. It's, again, self-preservation. But you got to do it in a manner where you're not causing harm to anybody else. I always felt like if I do these things for people, then it's automatically going to be reciprocated. There's this golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Well, we can do unto others as we would want them to do unto us, but we shouldn't expect them to do what we do for them. Anything that you do, if it's not coming from the goodness of your heart, it's going to cause you to resent the individuals that you do it for. So if you're not coming from a good place in your good deeds, because there's another little cliche, no good deed goes unpunished, it all depends on where that good deed is coming from. If you're looking for accolades and a pat on the back and then you don't get it, then you never intended to do that from a good place. Everybody is not going to appreciate everything that you do. Everybody is not going to like everything that you do. Everybody is not going to support everything that you do. But you have to be okay with that. And that's where I had to get. I had to be okay with that. If you want to do a YouTube channel and you want to do a podcast and you want to reach out and help people, do it. Don't worry about the outcome. It could become something great. It could become something mediocre. But at the end of the day, I followed through with what I wanted to do. So I decided to become a licensed clinical social worker. I worked in child protective services social work. I had a bad experience with child protective services social work. I got burnt out. I went through a lot, but I still wanted to help people in that capacity. And then I was introduced to behavioral health by some really, really good people that knew me better than what was being said about me. And they saw the potential. They even saw things in myself that I couldn't see when I was going through a lot of my turmoil. And I'm forever grateful to those individuals. And I always try to let them know whenever I come in contact with them. And so when I started working on the second master's degree, I thought, you know, what if this fails? What if after becoming a certified alcohol and drug counselor and you're doing these substance sessions and you're doing these DWI classes and you're helping people understand the importance of, you know, not driving while they're under the influence, and you're coming from these different places, what if they don't get it? Well, in behavioral health, I can't be worried about whether they get it or not. I just have to provide the information. And one of the things that helped me with that is for those that go to church, whatever type of church you go to, temple, mosque, whatever your belief is. If you go to a religious place to receive a religious message, and the pastor or the preacher or whoever, I don't know all the religions, so bear with me, but whatever, the Pope, whoever, if the message is given to you and you decide to leave it in the pews and not utilize it from one Sabbath to the next, from one Sunday to the next, or whatever day that you worship to the next, one Wednesday night prayer meeting to the next, if you ought not to use the tools that were given to you, you cannot shoot the messenger, because all they had to do was give you the message. What you did with it after it was given to you is completely up to you. You have to do some of the work. The therapist, the clinical social worker, the certified alcohol and drug counselor, the paraprofessional, the qualified professional, the doctor that provides medication management for you, They are helping guide you towards a positive journey for your mental health, but they can't do it for you. You have to be willing to do your part. Like I said, you got to tune out the folks who always say, if it was me, I would do blah, blah, blah. That's noise, and it will keep you stuck. We miss out on a lot of opportunities by letting people tell us how to live out our own dreams. The other part of that is none of us can tell anybody else that their dream is not important, that wherever they are in life, that's not important. You respect where they are and look at where you are in tune to your relationship to that individual, because sometimes friendships grow apart, sometimes relationships grow apart, sometimes marriages end because you've gotten to a place where you've grown, and you may have grown together or you may have grown apart. But whatever it is, the truth is the truth, and we all have to recognize our truth for what it is and how we need to handle it. If you begin to feel like this isn't working, nobody said you had to stop at one way of doing things. And other people's way of doing things does not have to be your way of doing things. You are individually and uniquely made and created. You have your own identity. Tap into that. Do what you need to do, because remember, they can't compete where they don't compare. If you set yourself on the level that you want to be set on, don't worry about where everybody else is at. You just gotta go where you're going. You got to make decisions that will work for you. You've got to figure out how to maintain and manage things for you. I messed up on a lot of different things in life because I converted to whoever I was working with, whoever I was dating, whoever I was friends with. I'm just going to concede and let these people have their way. I've worked on a job where I know that the people who were over me is telling me the wrong thing to do, and I wouldn't open my mouth. But now that I do, and once that I started opening my mouth, because what I had to realize was, if I know it's wrong, I don't care who it's coming from. I shouldn't do it. If I know what the policies and procedures are, I can't let nobody else talk me into doing something outside of what it's supposed to be. If I know what give and take is in a relationship, then I don't need to let the other person in the relationship, whether it's, your husband, your children, your sisters, your brothers, your friends, don't let anybody dictate how you should feel about how or whatever it is that you're going through. Your feelings are valid. Those things matter. Now, they have the right to tell you how you made them feel, and you should let them tell you that, because I always think I'm clear, I'm precise, I'm this, I'm that. Oh, they had to get it, but at the end of the day, everybody don't get what I'm saying. And I had to learn to adapt to who it is that I'm working with. If it's a visual learner, then I've got to be in a position to teach them visually. If someone needs stuff written down, as a leader, I got to get in the position to have it in writing for you. Because once I provide the way that this thing should be done to you in your learning style, then there's no excuses when the work is not done. I've been on assignments where I've done everything that wasn't even my responsibility. But because my name was attached to it and I felt like it should have been done a certain way, or I was under leadership that made me feel like you need to do it a certain way, I would switch up from how I would do things, and then that was taken away from who Ebony is. And at the end of the day, I have to always stay true to myself, but you can't stay true to yourself if you don't know who you are. And if you're anything like me, if you've gone through some stuff in life that took you off kilter, took you off your center, caused you to end up becoming somebody that you're not, caused you to be a people pleaser, please, please, please subscribe, follow me, stay in tune with me, tell me some topics that you want to talk about, because we can have a conversation about it and we can figure out how to work it out. There's this cliche, and you'll learn as you follow me and hear me talk. I talk a lot about cliches, and I always give my point of view from them. That doesn't mean what I'm saying is right, and it doesn't mean that it's wrong. What it is how I view it. And how I view it is the way I view it. I don't expect anybody out here to agree with or go along with. Because when you go along to get along, you're going to be alone. Don't conform just because people want you to. That's been one of the hardest pills for me to swallow. Don't just do it because somebody wants you to. Do it because you want to. And if you don't agree, be woman enough, be man enough to say, hey, I don't agree with that. I don't think that's going to work for me. Is there any kind of way that we can work on doing something different? Can we work on coming up with something that'll work for all parties? Can we sit down and talk about it? Because a lot of times when you're silent to the other person, they think that you've consented to what they were saying. And you just have to be able to do that. So I haven't decided quite yet if I'm going to be posting every day, once a week, what I'm going to be doing. But I know today is Wednesday, and each day I wanted to have a theme for the message. And so, today is just Work It Out Wednesday. You got to start somewhere. Figure out where you want to work it out from. Figure out what your boundaries are. Figure out what works for you and what your needs and your wants are. And if your partner, your friend, your coworker, your boss, if they aren't in a position to accommodate you to be the very best version of yourself, then you got to consider that. Because when people start trying to change you into who and what they think they want you to be, the minute that their view of you changes, then now you ain't acting the same. And now they want you to become this other person because now they've outgrown who they thought they wanted you to be. No, I'm me, unapologetically. I am me. And I've conformed so much over the past couple of years that trying to get back to me has truly been a journey. I'm a social butterfly. I love talking to people. I love being around people. And if I allow any circumstances of my life to cause me not to be in those social settings, I'm taken away from who I am. Now, don't get me wrong. My socialization is a lot different from what it used to be. I ain't trying to be around a whole bunch of people all the time and all this other stuff. There are days where I just don't want to be bothered. And I've always had this saying that says I love people, but I don't love being around people at times. So isolation is good, but it's not healthy. And so we have to remember to start doing those things that are healthy. Just like I shared with you about the doctor, knowing what the prescription calls for. And when we try it, if it didn't work, guess what? Mark through it, rewrite it, revise your goal, try it again. But you have to try. If you never try, you never know if it will work. So I want to thank you for coming on, viewing my channel, listening to my video. Again, like I said, this is new to me. I have stuff written down, but I don't want to sit here and read to you from a script. So I'm going to work on whatever it is I can do to perfect being able to deliver this information. My skin is tough. So when it comes to criticism, I need you to know nothing you say to me will ever be taken personally, because that's your view of me. Half of y'all ain't gonna ever know who I really am. You're just gonna know what I talk about when I come on here. So you don't know me outside of here. So what you have to say will never bother me. Plus, if you're in my comments and you ain't got no channel and doing no video, negativity don't bother me at all. We'll say, don't come for me in a manner that I ain't come for you. Because if we can dish it, we got to be able to take it. And there's a lot of people out there that don't understand that. So if you got these Twitter fingers and you're one of those people that sit around and you ghostwriters and you always got negative stuff to say, I want you to get a journal and start writing down some goals and find you something else to do. because you got too much talent for that. There's some critiquing jobs. There's some things that you can do. Don't sit here and waste it on the internet or YouTube or whatever. Make it where you can utilize it and you can get it done. But that comes with growing pains for us. So that's why it took me a long time to not take things personally. People are going to feel how they feel, whether I do everything they want me to do or whether I don't do anything that they want me to do. They still going to feel how they feel. So at the end of the day, they got to own that, not me. So thank you again. I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll be looking for you. Please like, subscribe, and share any videos from anything that you get. And remember, you got to start somewhere, and only you know where you got to start. Work It Out Wednesday. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.